Hello guys, welcome to another video with Zimaleta. Today I'll be talking about starters, possible charging issues, and so problems with actual charging. What's going on? What's your problem? Why is it charging? Why is it not charging? Do you need a new alternator? Or maybe you should keep your alternator and look at some other possible causes to your problem. So here's what I want to let you know. I have two starters here. Starters. I have alternators. So we have an alternator right here, which is a remanufactured alternator. It's not new, but it's been remanufactured. It is some kind of name Zen here. And this alternator is what I actually pulled out of my Sprinter. This is, I believe, possibly is original Bosch alternator. I haven't really looked at the markings. It's really not important at this moment. So, what I want to talk today about is the blinking light issue on your dash. So when you're driving, and what you're gonna notice is, especially if you're around a mountains area, some kind of hill areas where you got to be going up the hill, down the hill, that kind of thing, and you're gonna start noticing your light blinking, your battery light, to be precise. So you're gonna see a red light. It's gonna come on, flicker off, and it might go away for a little while. It's gonna come back. It's gonna flicker some more. So what's going on is, this was what was going on with this alternator right here. So when I had this issue, I kind of thought, time for a new alternator. It stopped charging. So I went ahead and I bought myself a Bosch alternator. This is still original box. To it, I end up keeping it. To place this alternator in, it just really helps things, because you want to leave some cores for yourself in case you're going to be buying like a remanufactured one, like I have right here. So as I replaced with a Bosch alternator, I went ahead and upgraded. It was like something like a 90 amp is what I had, and I bought something stronger. I can't really remember. Let me see if it says it here anywhere, but it's more. It could be something like 150 amps, maybe 120. Whatever was the next step up, that's what I ended up buying, just to have a little bit better charging capability. So I bought that Bosch alternator, and I put it on. I think I drove about maybe 20,000 miles at most. Guess what? Battery issue came up again, and it started basically flickering, flicker on, flicker off, flicker on, flicker off. And I'm always kind of like a do-it-yourselfer, and I kind of think about these kind of things, what could be the causes. So I connected the actual like a OBD2 reader. I have like one of those handheld type of devices that I picked up at Hardware Tool and Freight. It was one of the best ones that they had. It showed a lot of stuff. So I went and plugged it into my like a OBD2 type of a connector, and basically I would drive the van and I would look at the charging. Is it really charging? I mean, like, what's going on? So I would observe that, and I noticed that sometimes goes as low as like 10 like volts, like it's charging, and sometimes it goes as high as 13 and 14. Mostly it was staying around like 12. So I was kind of thinking, what could be the causes, because it's flickering. It's a new alternator, it should be working just fine. So I called Bosch people, because I had like a 3-year warranty, and they told me, we'll basically sell you a new one. You could go ahead and buy a new one. If you send us the other one back, we're going to actually refund you the money. So that was a good idea. So I kind of thought, maybe defective alternator, could be maybe a solenoid type of issue, or maybe something wrong with the brushes. Who knows? You just don't know these things. I heard, all kinds of rumors when it comes to the alternators charging. So, usually Bosch is a pretty good name, and it was actually, like in this case. But I sent the alternator in and upgraded again. I believe I have right now maybe 150, maybe like 180, whatever is the next step up. I really cannot remember like all these different like alternators. I think it's like 90, 120 and 150, and then 180, and I think like 200. I think that they go like that. But anyways, it's really not important. I possibly bought like a 150, because 150, I think I had like a 120 before, and I bought a 150. So I paid them a little bit more money for it, sent my alternator in, got another one. And then I installed that alternator and drove on it again. I think about maybe again 20-30,000 miles. again, a light started flickering. I'm like, uh-oh, you know, it cannot be the alternator. And I already got kind of used to this issue because it keeps driving. It's really not cutting things off. Of course, this original one was not really charging my battery up. I mean, it was not like a matter of flickering. It just was not, you know, good. So possibly this one, you know, maybe bad brushes on this one. But before it stopped charging, it actually started flickering, and it would flicker on, flicker off, and then it just stayed on. Okay, so possibly this one just went out. You know, it was time for a new one and just went out. So that was okay. But the issue with the Bosch one, and this is what I want to kind of like let you guys know, because if this happens, here's what could be causing your issue. So what we have here is a high pressure fuel pump. This is the way it's going to be sitting on your engine, kind of like near the top, not too much near the top. There's actually some, you know, belts above and stuff. Not very easy to get to, but only 3 bolts is holding it in place. We got one here, we got one there, we got one right there. So it's a little bit complicated to remove, but if you know what you're doing and you know the steps, I mean, you could call it hard, or you could call it just a lot of work. I'm just gonna say a lot of work because you have to remove a lot of stuff just to get to it. That's going to be covered in like my other video, because all the steps required to remove this, there's just a lot of them. So the issue is, why is it not charging, is because of the high pressure fuel pump. And you might be thinking, how are they related? It's totally 2 different systems. Why would this be causing it not to charge? Well, this is why. Look how dirty, first of all, this Bosch starter is. It's got like a lot of like grease on here and stuff, and this happens, you know. It might be just a dirty engine. This is actually a good type of high pressure fuel pump, but I do want to kind of like let you know it's kind of like dirty and stuff. It might be like a little bit wet. Sometimes you're not even going to notice those things. It's not important. But here's on the other side. We're going to twist it over. We have a seal right there, and we have this little piece. Don't lose it. Make sure it's going to be always attached there. What happens is, when you remove the high pressure fuel pump, and before buying a starter, I do recommend you remove it and you look at the actual high pressure fuel pump, because most likely this is what's causing the issue. These bolts inside, particularly these 4 bolts, usually not those and not those, but these 2 would be either really loose, or they're going to be they're just going to fall out on you when you're going to be pulling your high pressure fuel pump out. And this is actually what happened to me when I pulled the high pressure fuel pump out of the Sprinter, okay, with the blinking light on. But this problem became so bad that, I mean, the light would always flicker on my alternator. You know, I could just always see it on my dash. I got used to driving with that issue. It would flicker on and off, and more on that, just a little bit. But what happens is, these bolts, when they get loose, here's what happens. There's such high pressures in here, and we have like 2 metals over here. We have like steel and we have aluminum. So whenever your engine actually warms up, and it's summertime, you know, it's nice and good, it's nice and warm, and your vehicle is warmed up, you're not going to have any issues. Your starter is going to be, I mean, excuse me, the alternator is going to be charging things just fine. Most likely you're not going to notice any blinking issues. You are going to notice blinking issues, however, when you started the van up. It's kind of cold outside, you just started it, and you know, before heating things up, you started driving it, and then you're starting to see like a little flicker here and there with the battery light flickering, and then it kind of goes away, and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe it fixed itself, you know, it's just, you know, maybe it's not going to come back again, and it does it again, and it's always kind of like, oh man, like what is going on? Is it this Sprinter going to be costing me more money again? You know, because most likely, you know, a lot of you guys, you know, you have somebody work on your Sprinter, and because they're easy if you know what you're doing, they're hard if you don't know what's going on. And this is where I come in. I want to explain to you so you know this yourself, because this is not difficult. It's a matter of actually knowing what's going on. Also save you money by not actually buying a high pressure fuel pump when it's actually leaking for you. So when I was telling you this, when the Sprinter actually heats up, the metal expands, and what it does is when it expands, it stops all the leaking from happening, because it expanded, and it's sort of like you know, like masks it a little bit. You're not going to be really noticing any leaks. However, you know, if this is the issue, pay attention. First signs would be if you're gonna come to some kind of parking lot, okay, like you're gonna park at a gas station, you know, like somewhere like a truck stop, a shopping center, it does not matter. Choose a spot where it doesn't have any spots on the ground whatsoever. You're gonna park there, you're gonna see like nice, you know, clean type of you know, pavement. Walk outside your vehicle, you know, don't even shut your engine off yet, but just walk outside, take a look. Most likely you're gonna say, well, there's no dripping, there's nothing dripping, okay? So that does not mean there's no dripping going on, you know, because you know, if this thing is leaking, you're gonna notice some kind of droplets of diesel fuel on the floor. But it's not going to drip right now because your engine is still very hot and it needs to cool down for this to happen. As it cools down, you're gonna go inside of the shopping center. You're gonna come back. If your engine's not running or nothing, you're gonna come back and you're gonna observe your Sprinter again. Always look again in front. Has anything leaked? You know, where's it coming from? So if you came out and you see like in the middle, sort of closer to the bumper, like in the middle of the, you know, front end of your Sprinter, you're noticing some kind of droplets. Might not be a big thing. It could be as little as a dime. It could be, you know, as big as like just a little wet area. And you're kind of thinking, condensation maybe from my AC that was running. Could this be just a radiator fluid? But I kind of like recommend, you know, take some kind of like a tissue or like a napkin, a paper towel, and dab it inside of that little bottle, and you're gonna actually find out if it's gonna smell like diesel. So if it actually smells like diesel fuel, or you know, you cannot figure out if this is diesel fuel, most likely, you know, it is diesel fuel. Really good chance if your battery light is blinking. Okay, so by checking those bolts next, if it's leaking, you know, you're gonna find out if this is actually the issue. You're gonna remove it, check those things out. If they're tight, okay, your alternator issue is not with the high pressure fuel pump, and you could just you know, tighten these things up a little bit more, these little bolts, and you know, and just put it back on there. You know, more on the starting issue could happen with the actual starting issue. I mean, this is the alternator charging issue, but I'm gonna cover that since I already have the high pressure fuel pump here. We have sensors here. We have two sensors right there. If any one of these sensors goes out, you will not be able to start your van up. You'll be spinning your, you know, like a van, and you're thinking maybe starter, but it could be your starter. It could also be that it's just bad sensors. You just will not be able to start it up. And since I'm already, you know, talking about this, I mean, it could be like fuel injectors, but I want to cover that a little bit deeper on the actual starting issue. When things are spinning, they're not working. And I also want to cover a topic in a later video, you know, look out for it. Why is your van starting up and then it just quits on you? You just started your van up and it dies. You start it up and it dies. That's going to be like another issue, guys. Please subscribe, you know, like, so you could see those things, because if you're a Sprinter owner, you'll want to know as much as possible what's going on with your Sprinter before having somebody else look at it. You could possibly, you know, test the stuff yourself and possibly fix it yourself without having to really worry about it. But back to this high pressure fuel pump. Why does these bolts get loose? There's such high pressures going on in there, and I cannot remember exactly right now on top of my head. I believe it's like something like around like 32,000 psi. I could be wrong, but the pressure is not important. I mean, you know, if you're just a typical guy, do-it-yourself like me, it doesn't really matter what kind of pressure it is. All we know is it's a lot of pressure here. It is a lot of pressure in, you know, in your fuel rail, and you need high pressures for your vehicle to start. Also, because these high pressures happen, and this is sitting like, this would be sitting flat up against the engine, okay? These bolts, because of high pressure, they've rattled themselves out of place, okay? To fix these bolts, okay, if they come out on you, okay, I recommend clean everything up. I haven't got to this yet. In one of my other videos, I'm going to make exactly the same videos, except it's going to be talking specifically about the high pressure fuel pump. I'm going to explain everything, you know, like how to do it. But since you're already watching this video and you don't have to watch another one, take these bolts out of there. You know, check those if they're tight. If they're tight, leave them alone. If they're tight, leave them alone. Then basically clean everything up, clean your bolts up, put some like brake cleaner inside, and clean them out, dry everything out so not nice and dry. Then take your bolts, dry them out too, clean it with brake cleaner. Take some Loctite. I've used the blue one last time. And when a bolt is dry, add some Loctite to it, and observe it as it dries, because it needs to be dry a little bit. Just put yourself kind of like a little line around the bolt, okay? In one of my videos, I'm actually gonna be doing that, and I'll show you exactly how you need to do it. But it's pretty simple. All you do is just put some Loctite. If you never used it before, just have it dry up, and once it dries, I think it takes about 5-10 minutes for it to dry up. Go ahead and tighten your bolts up. Make sure you don't over tighten it, because you don't want to be stripping all the aluminum threads. It's a good chance that it's probably going inside of the steel thread, because it's two pieces and they need to be bolted together. If they're not bolted together, then they're going to be kind of like separated, and then you have fuel that's going to be coming out. I do want to show you on the actual engine, why is high pressure fuel pump leaking? Where's it coming from? I'm going to show you. Okay, here we're looking at the head at the bottom. The oil pan's on top. Don't really pay attention to that. We're looking at a head, and this is the way it's going to be facing in the front. The actual plate is off, but that doesn't matter. This is where your starter goes, okay? No, actually, yeah, it does go here. It's just you're gonna see something different. The reason I kind of got confused a little, because this is not the way it's supposed to look inside. Inside is supposed to be a cam gear that has your chain around it and stuff. Since I remove all those things, you're not really seeing that stuff in here. So it's not that important. Most of you will think whenever your high pressure fuel pump is leaking, it's due to the actual seal that goes around there. And it's a possibility. I'm not gonna say it's not. That seal is very cheap. You could go ahead and buy it, since you are already removing your high pressure fuel pump. I think it's a couple dollars, to buy that seal at the Mercedes. And I always recommend you shop at the Mercedes. Dodge actually will rip you off on parts. I'm serious. And I don't know about the Freightliner, because I never bought anything from them. But if you go to Dodge, they do rip you off. They'll charge you literally 2-3 times more. At least the local dealerships, and actually seen some of them when I traveled. They literally charge you more money. And you know what? When you ask them why it's so much, they're like, it's a Mercedes, and I'm like that's supposed to say something, why should they rip you off just because it's a Mercedes? But anyways, we're gonna get back to that stuff later. Look at this little cutout here. It almost seems like it's not supposed to be there. What is it doing there? But that's there if your starter is starting to leak, so the diesel is not gonna actually make it inside. Where your oil is and stuff, it's actually going to run off over here, right there. So as this happens, this diesel fuel will actually make leaks underneath your Sprinter, and I'm going to show you. So as the diesel travels down the side of the engine all the way down, it actually makes it on some belts, okay? And what happens is your belts will start slipping a little bit. Enough to cause those uphills. As you go in uphill or some kind of mountain, it starts to flicker more. Sometimes it stays on and then it goes off again when you're going down a hill, because you're putting on extra stress on the belt, so it's actually starting to slip a little bit. And it also, the diesel, this is why, look how black it is compared to this one. It's not supposed to be this black. It looks like literally it's been dipped in oil. But it's black like this because the high pressure fuel pump was leaking the whole time. It just keep wearing this thing out, keep wearing it out, to the point where this thing stopped charging. Most likely if I take it apart, the brushes are not going to be as bad as, the way it actually was behaving. But I'm not going to bet on that. But with something brand new like this, when you install it and it's flickering, then you have a concern, because most likely your brushes are good, your solenoid is good, but that diesel's making inside, it's really messing it up for you, because it's kind of diesel's kind of oily, and it's really messing it up with the charging. It could be causing two things. It could be messing up your solenoid, but most likely what it's doing, when it's actually making inside, it's actually making it all the way to the brushes, and the brushes begin to slip, therefore maybe not charging your Sprinter up correctly. But this is why, guys, if you got a black looking alternator like this, chances are you got a leaky high pressure fuel pump. It's another way to tell. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and subscribe my videos. I'll have more helpful information to come. I'm going to pretty much cover everything that's on the Sprinter issue. I will try to touch base on everything, because I already, you know, took the engine apart, transmission apart, I mean, and a bunch of other stuff. But you know, if it doesn't get, like, you know, if that's like not enough, I mean, like, what is enough, you know? But I will cover all kinds of like electronic issues, mechanical issues, you know, starting, you know, issues, and like other issues that arise, boost issues. I could tell you about boost stuff that will blow your mind, because so easy to fix. And you know, you could be driving, I don't know, like 60 miles an hour, it's not driving anymore, your turbo's not working. I know turbo issues, why is it not working? So I'm going to talk about all those things in later videos. Right now, this is it. I gotta get back to doing what I was doing, and look out for those videos. You know, it will save you a lot of money, and you can just do the work yourself and, you know, drive instead of over there be like in a shop, you know. So thank you guys, take care, subscribe, appreciate you guys, bye bye.